Living on $48,000 a year with 5 kids has forced us to rethink almost everything about how we spend money, what we prioritize, and what we really need to be happy. I'm a mom of 5 kids, and we moved so that my husband could attend dental school. So yes, you are reading that right. We live off of around $48,000 a year as a family of 7. So I'm going to put right here next to me the breakdown of where that money is coming from. So you'll see at the top, we have what we get roughly a year from student loans. I've said before that changes and will change from year to year, depending on if he's a first year, second year, you get different amounts for different reasons. And then we have my husband working his school AV job. That is what we have got this year for that roughly. And then down at the bottom is what he has made from working during the summer and during Christmas break. So that is how we got that $48,000. Everybody's numbers are going to look a little different. These are just how our numbers look. So anytime I'm talking about that, know that the numbers are different for everybody and every situation is different. So don't get too hung up on the numbers, but this is just where we're at right now. What are some things that we do not do while we're living on $48,000 a year? Some of that is going to be fairly obvious. We are not going out to eat all the time. Nobody's getting new vehicles. Nobody's getting new phones. Nobody's going on vacation. We have limited subscriptions, minimal shopping for like fun stuff. Another big thing, which I know this is going to be hard for the girlies, but I do not do, none of us, but I do not do any like luxury services. I don't do my nails. My sister is a hairdresser, so she will do my hair from time to time. I rarely get it done because she doesn't live here, but I don't go and do that. And in fact, I, back in the day, was a hairstylist, so I will cut everybody in the house's hair. Definitely no like facials, massages, treat yourself, whatever. I'm not getting that done. With that also goes no impulse spending. Now, I will say, January was a tough month for us with the budget. We had a couple school-related expenses for my husband. He had to get like some teeth and things like that. So I want to say that was about $400 almost. So things do happen, but we try to be very careful and not have like impulse purchases. It has to be something that is like, this is needed or there's a purpose for this. And then that typically means though that we're having to scramble around and readjust things in the budget. So I can go into this in my next video based off of January and kind of how things were looking. We already decided for the rest of the semester that we had to adjust some things. So you definitely have to be tight and strict with your budget, but no, like sometimes you're gonna have to like finagle things around. Sometimes things get a little crazy and you have to adjust. I am very proud to say that we have not once swiped the credit cards since school has started. That's definitely something that you're gonna have to watch out for. It would be a very slippery slope to be living off of student loans and also be swiping your credit card. So that I could see being very tempting if things are super tight or you are struggling or are overspending, because some of us overspend, but that could be very, very slippery slope if you are also racking up those credit cards while living on student loans. So definitely something to be careful for, and I'm glad we have not participated in that. For the things that we do spend on, we will definitely spend for like family fun at home. We are not going out to the movies. We are staying in and watching movies at home. So we'll get like treats and things for that, popcorn, candy, whatever. You have to look for free ways to have fun. We have also done some like free events or things that were going on, Christmas tree trail and stuff like that was free. So we did that this Christmas break as well. Just really, I mean, you have to be creative because it's not like we can just go to the nearest amusement park on a weekend at whim. Like we're not doing stuff like that. We just simply don't have the money. And I think that's one thing that I want to touch on really quick is I think a lot of people look at, it could be this kind of season in life, or it could be anything. This does not just apply to people that are living on student loans. It can apply to anybody that's on a lower income or even higher income and just mismanaging funds. But I think a lot of times people I have seen have this sort of attitude of like, well, I deserve to have some fun, or we deserve to do, what we want to do or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't necessarily think when you're having that sort of mindset that is the healthiest. I think that it is nice to be able to do those things. It's fun to be able to afford those things. But if you can't, you simply just can't. And I think that is a lot of times where people could get into trouble, is feeling like you have the money and you really don't, or, oh, we'll just put on a credit card. I know for us, I'm not doing that. We, when everything is said and done, are going to be in so much debt that swiping and adding onto my credit card would literally just be devastating. Just kind of something to like keep in mind is like, you may feel like, okay, we deserve to have fun, and like, yes, but how can you have fun that is within your budget? And if your budget for fun is pretty much zero, then you look for free things to do. It's that simple. Another thing that I do try to do is I really try to make holidays fun and special. So if I can do something for, Valentine's or Easter or whatever, like I try my best to do a little something special for that. Christmas, of course, try to do the best I can. This past Christmas, 2025, was one of our smaller Christmases that we had. It was still good. It was still enjoyable. I did my absolute best to make my budget stretch as far as possible, even though it was very small. But I try my best to make things special. And I know that everybody's idea of special is very different. And so again, some people may look at what we do and be like, ooh, that's kind of sad. But you know what? Like, we are practicing gratitude around here, being grateful for what we have, even though it's not much, and doing our best to stay positive along the way. So something that is absolutely crucial in a big family, no matter what you are doing, whether it is medical, dental, just living on one income right now, whatever it is, meal planning is huge. Meal prepping can be big too. For us, we plan a few meals a week, and then every other night is like a leftover night. It really helps us to not be eating out when we already know exactly what we're having for the whole week. So like I said, things come up every once in a while, and it's like, things kind of might be a little struggle to stick with that meal plan, and you might want to just grab something quick for convenience. But we just don't have that luxury. And if you do, great, more power to you, do you. But if you're a family of 7 and you're living on $48,000 a year, you probably do not have that luxury either. One of the things that's really hard about living on a low income is the emotional, or like the mindset of it. It is not easy. It is not easy, and it is very daunting. It's very difficult. I know me personally, I'm checking our bank account like every day, every other day, just watching, just making sure nothing came out unexpectedly. And that makes me feel some semblance of control. And so I like doing that. I like seeing what's going on, but it is stressful. And especially not making money in the traditional sense of like getting a monthly paycheck or whatever, like to see that loan amount just like progressively drop, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as time goes by. That is hard. It's not something that I thought about when we started this, but that is very like, oh my gosh, like it's starting to get lower. So that is difficult. I think something that could be difficult for some people could be like the comparison. I don't really struggle with that. And I think it's just because we've always been a lower income family. Like I said, like I don't go and get like my nails done. I don't go and get those luxury services, but I never have. I've never been somebody that's been able to afford stuff like that. For my husband and I have been married for 14 years. And that's just not ever been my life. So I think maybe that could be why it's easier for me. I could see where like if I was getting the luxury services and then had to stop during this 4 years of him being in school, that might be a little more difficult and sad. But that's just never been my world. So it's really not a big deal for me. I don't feel like I need to like fit in or compete with anybody else, because whatever, they're doing their thing. So if you are struggling with that, like I said, whether you are living on student loans, dental, medical, whatever, or you're not, and you're just a low income, large family, I think you just, whether it's for a season or for a long time, you're going to have to redefine what rich is to you. We have been through this process of my husband getting into school, being in school. We have been so blessed. And it's just been amazing how everything has kind of happened and fallen into place. We talk about it all the time because it just blows our mind constantly. But I choose to focus on that. I choose to focus on all of the blessings. I have 5 wonderful children, how they made it here all safely and they're healthy. And so to me, it's like that is what I focus on. That is what makes me feel rich and fulfilled. And it's not the money side of it. Would I love to be rich in money as well? Absolutely. Absolutely. Who does not want to have money to be able to go on vacations and to do the extras and the fun stuff in life? Of course. But that's not where we're at. And so I'm redefining for me what rich is. And I'm blessed and I'm so grateful for that. And it's not in money, but that's okay. Going forward, one of the things that you're going to probably hear me talk a lot about is sacrificing. That's what this is. It is a lot of sacrifice because you are not able to do everything that you want to do or have everything you want to have. Like I said, January's budget, we were like, okay, like this semester is slightly different than last. We're going to have to readjust things. We're not going to have as much of a budget for the kids for clothes. We're not going to have as big of an entertainment budget for date nights and things like that. And so we had to readjust that. And that is hard. And that is part of the sacrifice, but it is necessary to get to where you want to be. For us, our long-term vision and goals are worth it. I think there's a big topic of conversation on if dental and medical school are worth it because of the pay and the amount of student loans, hence why they did the big beautiful bill and all of these things. And I think that varies greatly based on the individual. For us, I am willing to sacrifice to be where we want to be in the future. I am willing to sacrifice even after we are done with school and he does start working. I am willing to sacrifice even during that phase to get where we want to be. I can talk in a future video, somewhat touch on our goals and things that we envision and how we plan on paying things off. I'm willing to talk about all of that. But I think you have to ask yourself the question, what am I willing to sacrifice? How much am I willing to sacrifice to hit these long-term goals? And if you're not willing to sacrifice, then it might not be the move for you or for you and your family. But if you're willing to sacrifice and you feel like that is worth it for you, then great, do it. And I think looking at too, are you going to, when you get out of school, fall into the lifestyle creep? Or are you going to live like you have been living the past 4 years to be able to pay your loans off sooner? I think that is something to factor in when you are making those decisions on if this is what you want to do, or say you're already in and you've decided that you want to do it. Okay, how are you going to make it easier for your future self? Are you going to sacrifice and live frugally for your future self? And so I think there's just a lot of discussion that needs to be had in going through something like this. And even if you are not going through school, but you are a low income family, same questions apply. If this is a temporary situation and you feel like you need more money, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice to make more? Or what can you sacrifice? Can somebody work more hours? Can you do overtime? There's so many ways to sacrifice that are not fun, but that can help you get into a better situation. One of the last things that I wanted to mention was we have older children. We have a almost 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. And this for us is modeling resilience for them. You want certain things for your kids. Not everybody can afford to do those sort of things. And there's a whole debate on that. That's a whole other topic. But I think for me, for my husband, for what we want for our kids, I want them to be tough. I want them to be resilient. I want them to be able to sacrifice now for a better future later. Obviously, we're doing this to try as well to give them a better life. That is ultimately what this is, to give all of us a better life, more opportunities, and we want to give that to them, but we also want them to work for everything that they have and to be smart with money and good with money and willing to live below their means to hit bigger goals and all of those things. But that's something huge for us, is that our kids are walking through this with us, at least the older ones. and are learning valuable lessons as well, learning gratitude, resilience, sacrifice, all the things. And not everybody's going to want to do that. Not everybody's going to agree with that. And that's fine. We all get to do what we want with our families. Ultimately, this season is temporary, but the gratitude and resilience it's building in our family will last forever. A meaningful life doesn't come from a big income. It comes from living with intention. In my next video, I'm going to take you guys through our Excel sheets and a monthly breakdown of our expenses and basically just how we set everything up. Thanks for watching.